Good morning, everyone. In the previous session of Global Human Resource Development, I explained about HRM models. So, in the last session, I explained what is actually HRM models, why these models are created, the basic purpose behind the creation of these models, what are the implications they have on the human resource development aspect. So, in the previous session, I explained about simply the meaning of HRM model, purpose of HRM model, and then I explained the first model, that is the Harvard model, how it was created, what are the main aspects of Harvard model. See, in this graph, as I have already explained, you can see the components of Harvard model. Those are stakeholders, interest, situational factors, HRM policies. So these are the factors which I have already explained in the previous session. Then I explained the advantages and disadvantages. So out of 5 HRM models I have explained only one HRM model. In today's session, I am going to discuss 2 HRM models, that is the Michigan model or the matching model, and the next one is the guest model. So let us begin the session with the Michigan or the matching model. Now this model was created by Fomburn, Tichy and Devena in the year 1984. So this model was basically created by 3 authors, 3 founder members of the models, or 3 important members of a particular institution, that is the Michigan School of Business. So these 3 members created this model in the Michigan School of Business in the year 1984. Now, they had the most important aspect in this model, that HR system and organizational structure should be in accordance with the organizational strategy. So here it completely focused on that whatever business strategy or the organizational strategy created by the organization is the most priority or most important aspect of any organization. Now, whatever human resource strategy or HR strategy is created for the organization must be in accordance with the organizational strategy. So whatever strategy we prepare for the human resource, it must be created in such a way that it ultimately achieves all the goals and all the objectives of the organization. And it does not give that kind of importance to the human resource. That is the human aspect of human resource management. So it strictly says that the HR system, the HR strategy must be in complete accordance with the organizational strategy. They must work in a harmoniously way. But here it completely focuses on that whatever human resource strategy is created must be made in such a way that it will achieve all the goals, all the objectives of the organization, giving less priority to the workforce, to the human aspect of the human resource management. Okay, so that was the main point of this Michigan model, or you can say matching model. Now here it says that the third point, you can see that it is inclined towards the harder side of HRM. Now in the previous session I have explained the hard HRM and soft HRM. Now hard HRM is the concept that human resource needs to be treated like the other resources of the organization, like money, material, machinery, land, building. What are the other resources? So human resource needs to be treated like those resources. They need to be utilized to a maximum extent. Their benefit, their welfare is not important for the organization. So that is the harder side of HRM, that every human being working in the organization must be appointed, must work so that the organizational goals are achieved. They are not concerned about the welfare of the employees, development of the employees for their personal benefit, for their personal improvement in career. So they are not concerned about any kind of personal benefit of the employees. They are only concerned about the organization, achievement of the goals and objectives of the organization, and then the profit making of the organization. That is the harder side of HRM. Now the soft HRM means it consider the it, or it gives proper importance, the importance which the human resource always deserved, that kind of importance to the workforce of the organization. Their welfare is considered, their benefits are considered, they are not exploited, they are utilized but to an optimum level. They are not exploited, they are not considered as like any other resources. So that is the concept of soft HRM. But here in Michigan model, it completely focused on the harder side of HRM, that is treating human resource like any other resource, exploitation of human resource, and making them work in order to achieve the organizational goals. No benefits to the employees are considered, welfare of the employees are not considered. So this is the basic concept, or one of the important concept of Michigan model, or you can say it, or you can call it as the matching model also. The next point that the next point here, you can see that there is a tight fit between organizational and HR strategy. So what is tight fit? Means HR strategy needs to be completely needs to be made completely in accordance with the organizational strategy. That is the tight fit, that it must be completely dependent on its organizational strategy. It cannot create certain strategy which goes against the organizational strategy. So there must be a tight connection between organizational strategy and human resource strategy. They are not interdependent, because HR strategy must be made completely depending upon the organizational strategy. So whatever points are mentioned in the HR strategy, it must be made in such a way that each and every aspect of HR strategy leads to the achievement of the organizational goals, irrespective towards the benefits of the employees, irrespective towards the welfare of the employees. So that is the tight fit between organizational strategies and HR strategy. So it says that whenever an organization appoint a person, or the entire workforce of the organization must be capable of managing the jobs for which they are appointed. If they are not capable, the organization needs to provide training, but these training must be provided in such a way that they become capable for the job for which they are appointed. No development aspect is considered. They are not given that kind of training which will help them to move forward in the career, which will help them to be suitable for future higher position. No, they are just given training just to become completely suitable for the job. So here it clearly says that appoint as many people required by the organization, make them suitable for the job. Now this Michigan model has certain similarities between the similarities with the Harvard model also, because they do not much focus on the welfare of the employees. They are more focused towards the organizational strategy, achievement of the organizational goals. So in this model, it completely says that human resource needs to be achieved at very cheapest mode. Means the organization must not spend a large amount of money in acquiring and maintaining the human resource. If the workforce is expecting or demanding too much of money, they can get rid of them and appoint new people at a lower cost. So here another main point of this model is that the human resource is supposed to be appointed at a very lower cost, by giving them lower salaries, by giving them lower wages, and also in the process of recruitment, selection, and other methods, they must use less amount of money. Too much amount of money cannot be spent on the human resource. So these are the basic concepts of the Michigan model. And because of these concepts, like the tight fit between organizational strategy and HR strategy, treating human resource like any other resource, attaining human resource at the cheapest mode, or maintaining human resource, by not paying higher salary, giving them lower salary and lower wages. So these type of things, these type of concepts actually make this model a little bit, or we can say it reflects the harder side of HRM. That is the hard HRM. Means human resource needs to be treated like any other resource, and they will be exploited for the benefit of the organization. So these are the basic features of the Michigan model. So another basic concept of is that business strategy or the organizational strategy, it needs to be achieved at any cost. So they are so in this model, it advises that the business strategy must be followed at any cost. The organizational objectives needs to be achieved at minimum labor cost. Means whatever is the less amount of money that an organization could spend on the human resource, only that much amount of money should be spent. And all these things must be done in order to achieve the organizational goal, in order to achieve the business strategy. So here the center stage is business strategy. The most important aspect of Michigan model is business strategy, and everything needs to be working around the business strategy, whether it is plant, whether it is machinery, even if human resource, they are simply just working around the business strategy. So this is the basic concept. These are the basic features of Michigan model. Now in this aspect, in this diagram, you can see there are three important elements, that is business strategy, organizational structure, and HR strategy. So here it says that whatever means first of all, we are going to create certain business strategies for the organization. What are the objectives, how we are going to achieve the objectives? These are the strategies, the methods, the procedures through which the organizational goals and business goals will be achieved. So in accordance to that, two things needs to be created: organizational structure and HR strategy. Now organizational structure is the whether it is a line and staff organizational structure, or the hierarchy of the organization structure, how many jobs are part of the company, what are the various categories of jobs, that is the organizational structure. Now this needs to be completely in accordance with the business strategy. So the job structure, the organizational structure must be made in such a way that it ultimately helps in achievement of organizational goals. And then comes the HR strategy. So HR strategy needs to be in accordance with the business strategy and must be related to the organizational structure. So after going through the business strategy, the company is going to create the structure of the organization, the number of jobs to be the number of jobs that we have in the organization structure, and then we are going to find people who will fit into the jobs of the organization structure. What kind of people required, the number of people required. But here in this model, the kind of people, the skills, knowledge is not that important. They are simply going to appoint as many people they require, and then they are going to train them in order to do their job for which they are appointed. So these things must be, this organization structure and HR strategy must be in accordance with the business strategy. Now, as you can see that they are interrelated, interconnected. But this entire scenario, this entire aspect of the organization has external effect also. That is the political forces, economic forces, and cultural forces. So these are the external factors which is beyond the control of any organization. So whatever business strategy they are preparing, it must be made in accordance with the factors, these factors, external factors, political, economical, and cultural. So these are the external factors which are beyond the control of the management, and for that basis, they need to consider these factors first, then create business strategy, then create organizational structure in accordance to business strategy, and at last they are supposed to create the HR strategy. So this is the basic model of, or basic diagram of Michigan model, how business strategy is influenced by the external environment, how organizational strategy and HR strategy are heavily dependent upon business strategy. Okay. So like I said, in this model, business strategy takes the center stage, but still it is heavily influenced, and to some extent, all the external factors influence the business strategy. Not only these factors, there are various other factors also, but these three are the major factors which have influence over the business strategy. Now, Michigan model, the HR process in the organization consists of four important aspects or four functions. So Michigan model has said that HR process in every organization consists of these four functions or these four elements. It completely ignores the other functions which are part of human resource management. So the first function here is that selection. But in this model, selection is all about finding the total number of people required in an organization. They are not very much concerned about the kind of people they are required. They are supposed to appoint those people who to some extent are able to do the job. Then they are going to provide training to them so that they can so that they can understand how to do a particular job. So selection means finding the people for the job which we have in the organization. The second point here is appraisal. Now appraisal here usually means appraising the performance of an employee in terms of like whether they have performed good or bad. There we are going to maintain a record of their performance. So that is the appraisal aspect of Michigan. So it also includes like motivation of employees, encouraging them to perform better, giving them rewards and all that, but equal distribution of wages, salaries, and everything. So appraisal is all about motivating the employees, but motivating them to do the job in a better way by giving certain kinds of rewards, which is our third point. Now, reward can be in form of monetary and non-monetary way also. So rewards here are strictly given based on the performance, based on the activities they have performed, based on the targets they have achieved. So if an employee is not performing well, if an employee is not contributing towards the success of the organization, towards achievement of the organizational goals, then that person may not get any reward. So here reward is completely attached with the performance. Now how well they are performing, how well they are doing the job, that should be the basis of reward in the Michigan model. Now last one here is development. So development here is simply says that we are going to develop our employees so that they can achieve the organizational goal by doing their jobs in an efficient and effective manner. That is the concept of development in Michigan model. So whatever training, development and other aspects provided to the employees, the basic motive of those programs is to simply make the employees suitable, efficient for the particular job so that they can perform the job in a better way, in an efficient way, which will ultimately lead to the attainment of the organizational goals and objectives. Okay, so these are the four functions or these are the processes which are part of an organization in which is mentioned in the Michigan model. So Michigan models explains that these are the four processes of HR which are part of the organization. Okay. So what I have explained today in Michigan model, what are the basic features, what does it actually mean? Then I have explained how external forces has influence on business strategy and how this organizational structure and HR structure are completely based on business strategy. And then I explained the HR process. What are the different processes which are part of an organization from the point of view of this Michigan model? But as I have already explained the model, we can see that there are many loopholes in this model. There are many limitations like treating employees like other resources. Now, in the present scenario, it is not right to treat employees like machines or any other resource. So even if not in today's period, we can say that many years back also, or at any point of time, treating human resource like any other resource is not acceptable. It will not lead to the success of the organization. and because of this certain points, it was heavily criticized because of the limitations. So these are the limitations of the model, or you can also mention it as criticism of the model. Means these are the basic points due to which this model was criticized. Okay, the first point that you're seeing, that it is perspective in nature. Means it sticks to one point of view that business strategy is the most important element of every organization. It simply sticks to one point, and all the other things are working around the point. That is, business strategy is the center, other things are just working around it, or other things needs to be completely dependent on business strategy, whether it is HR strategy or whether it is organizational structure. So it is very perspective in nature. It holds to one point of view. It is, we can say that they have created the model in a very narrow sense, and because of which it was very much criticized by various other authors and philosophers. Now the second one is, the strategies are based on political and subjective level. Now here it says that we are going to set certain number of objectives for the organization, and then we are going to create certain strategies in order to achieve those organizational goals. But basically, when here it says that they are creating strategies, the business strategies, from a rational point of view. But like in the diagram that you can see here, that business strategy is also influenced by three other elements: external forces, political, economical, and cultural. So whenever a strategy is prepared, it needs to be based on the external forces. That is the main thing. But still showing it in a diagram that political, economical, and cultural aspect affect the business strategy, but they still considered to make the business strategy as the center point of the model. So here it says that the strategy are not completely based on the objectives, not completely based on the business point of view. It needs to be influenced by other aspects. If they are not going to consider the other aspects, they are going to make a business strategy, it may not be achievable in real time. It cannot be achieved in a proper way. So it says that strategies are based on political and subjective level. They have to make changes in the strategies according to the requirement. They have to go on with the intuitions. They have to predict the future changes, and then create strategies in such a way. So it does not stick to one point. It is influenced by many factors. So they have to keep in mind various other factors while creating business strategies. But in this model, they have clearly ignored that part. They have said that the strategies are based on rational level. Strategies should be based on the organizational objectives, and it is not influenced by other factors. So that is complete ignorance of influence of other factors on the business strategy. Okay. So the next point, or the next limitation that you're seeing, is that tight fit between organizational and HR strategy. Tight fit means this HR strategy is completely dependent upon business strategy or organization strategy. So that is the tight fit. It's completely related, interrelated, not interdependent, but HR strategy is completely dependent upon organizational strategy. So that led to the criticism of the model. We cannot treat our human resource based on the organizational strategy. They need to have certain rights. They need to be given certain benefits. So we cannot create our HR strategy based on the business strategy. It needs to be created on the basis of the workforce. It needs to have certain kind of human level to it. So HR strategy must be created keeping in focus the humanistic aspect of the HRM. So that is important thing. They need to focus the workforce. It needs to be based on the human resource, not on organizational strategy. So that is the reason why this model was criticized by many philosophers and many authors. Now you can see the next point here says that tight fit makes the organization incapable and inflexible. Now when we have certain rigid rules and regulations, what happens? They are not capable of adapting with the changes. That happens if this model is applied. Usually what happens, business strategies are given priority, HR strategies are not given that priority. So what happens, because of this tight fit, it makes the entire organization lose its flexibility. It becomes inflexible. It is not what we can say, it is not suitable for further changes. When external factors influence on the organization, they are not capable of making certain changes, because this tight fit makes them inflexible. If they want to make changes in HR strategy, they cannot make changes because it is dependent upon business strategy. Making change in business strategy will lead to various kinds of other changes. So this makes the organizational very inflexible. This lack of flexibility does not help the organization to go in accordance with many changes, and that leads to the failure of the organization. So that this point of view is also heavily criticized. Now the next point, model is considered to be incomplete. So why this model is considered to be incomplete? Because where is the human aspect? Human resource does not have any position in this model. Whatever respect, whatever benefits the human resource actually deserve, they are not given that kind of things in this model. They were simply treated like any other resource. So in this sense, this model is considered to be incomplete. They need to incorporate, they need to bring in the human side of an organization, how the workforce makes an organization successful. That concept must be included. But still, because since it is not included, it is considered to be, it is considered to be an incomplete model. Now the next one here says that using HR like other human resources seems very unrealistic. Obviously it is unrealistic, because how we treat machinery, how we treat land, building, or any other resource, we cannot even compare human resource with other resources. It is to some extent very much injustice towards the human resource. It leads to exploitation of human resource. They do not get any kind of benefit. The welfare of the employees are not considered. So it seems to be very unrealistic. Even if the organization would like to follow this approach, they will they will have to face many kind of oppositions. They will face many kinds of negative aspects from the workforce, negative aspects from from the society and everywhere. So that this model does not seem to be very realistic. Next one here is it the next point here, it says that fails to perceive reciprocal relationship. Reciprocal means when you give something, you also get something in return. Now this model talks only about taking something, taking much more thing from the human resource, but not giving anything back to the human resource. So this is not reciprocal. It does not consider a good and healthy relationship between management and the employees, good industrial relationship. Now these good and healthy industrial and working relationships between management and the workers, between management and the employees, will actually lead to the success of the organization. That aspect is completely ignored in this model. So because of these aspects, this model is heavily criticized by many philosophers. Okay, so this is Michigan model, how it is created, what are the various aspects, what are the process, what are the elements, and then we have discussed the limitations of or criticism of a Michigan model. Now we are going to discuss the third model, that is the guest model of HRM. So the third model that we are going to discuss is the guest model of HRM. Now this model was propounded by David Guest in the year 1987. Now this model has also similar to other models like Harvard model, but this model claims that it is superior than any other model created. So this model says that it also takes certain points from various model, but it says that we have understood the Harvard model and we have made the Harvard model in a better way. And this model must be considered one of the most, or we can say one of the best models, models which are superior to the other models. So what are the basic assumptions of this model? So here it says that it is based on the assumption that HRM is different from traditional personnel management. See, traditional personnel management means simply just making, we can say, record of the human resource, how many number of people are working, maintaining the record, the record keeping aspect. But here HR, this guest model is considering human resource management completely different from the traditional aspect, because it focuses on the strategy aspect, that is the strategic management. So here it simply says that the HR manager must focus on creating certain HR strategies, certain HR practices, which will help in benefiting the organization in the way of increasing profit or giving a certain rate of return. So here it says that certain HR strategies, certain HR practices will lead to certain kind of HR outcomes. These outcomes will ultimately help the organization to increase the profit, to increase the rate of return, or it will increase the rate of investment also. So this is the basic, these are the basic assumptions, or we can say the features of guest model. Now in the fourth point, it clearly says that HR practices should lead to profit and return on investment. So here it says that whatever HR practices we are doing, whatever various aspects of HR we are applying, that is selection, training and everything, that must lead to increasing in profit of the organization, and it must also get rate of return, increasing the rate on investment. Investment means simply the amount of money invested on human resource, and this rate of return on investment is whatever performance the employees are giving to the organization, that will be increased if effective HR policies, effective HR practices, effective HR strategies are prepared. So it will lead to certain kind of outcome which will lead to profit and return on investment. Now the last point is integration of HR strategy with organizational strategy. So in this model also it focuses on creating HR strategy in accordance with the organizational strategy. Here it mentioned integration means they need to be brought together, they need to be properly balanced. We cannot say that this is completely a hard HRM concept. No, this is a combination of both hard and soft, because it focuses on human resource, but it says that there must be certain kind of balance or certain kind of we can say interaction between integration of organizational strategy with the HR strategy. So whatever strategies are prepared which will lead to the achievement of organizational goals, but at the same time it will also give certain kind of benefit to the employees. So these are the basic features, or we can say the assumptions on which this model is based. So here in this model, it clearly says that there are 6 important components. First one is HR strategy. Second one is a set of HR practices. Third one is a set of HR outcomes. Fourth one, behavioral outcomes. Fifth one is performance outcome. And the sixth one is financial outcome. So these are the different components. First, now you can see that this one, the HR strategy, set of HR practices, set of HR outcomes. These two aspects, first of all, these two aspects leads to a set of HR outcomes. So if we follow a certain kind of strategy, if we create a certain kind of strategy, and we will follow certain kind of HR practices, it will lead to certain level of certain set of HR outcomes. Now these outcomes will be in form of behavioral outcomes, performance outcomes and financial outcomes. Now in this diagram you can clearly see that Under HRM strategy, what do we have? Differentiation and focus, cost. These are the three aspects: differentiation, focus, and cost. Differentiation means how we are making innovative strategies which are different from other company strategies or strategies which are usually made. So that is the innovation aspect. Then we have focus. We need to focus on creating quality. Quality of the strategy needs to be the basic element of HRM strategy. Then the cost. We cannot involve too much amount of money for human resource so that the money can be recovered easily in the form of performance. So cost is one element, focusing on quality is another element, and creating innovative things is another element. So differentiation in terms of innovation, then quality and cost. These are the three aspects of HRM strategy, which will lead to certain HR practices. Those are selection, training, appraisal, reward, job design, involvement, status, and security. So if we follow those strategies, we have to include these HR practices. We have to select efficient employees. We have to train them so that they will be eligible and efficient to do the job properly in a better way. Then we are going to appraise their performance. And then how we are supposed to appraise their performance? By giving them rewards, recognition. We have to design the job in such a way that it benefits the organization and it also helps in achievement of goals. Then to what extent employees are involved in their job, involved with the success of the organization, what kind of contribution they give to the organization. And the last one is status and security. Whenever we are working in a company, we need certain kind of recognition, we need certain kind of status and security as well in terms of job security. So HR strategy will lead to these kinds of HRM practices. Okay. Now, if these strategies and practices are followed properly, it will lead to HRM outcomes. What are the outcomes? Commitment, quality, and flexibility. Commitment means if you're rewarded for your performance, if you're appraised for your performance, if you're given promotion for your performance, that will increase the commitment level of the employees towards the organization, towards the job, which will ultimately improve the quality of your performance. You will perform better and better. Your performance will improve. That will improve the quality of your performance. And the last one is flexibility. Now, if as an employee you are satisfied with the job, so you will accept any kind of change. You will accept it. You will try to change according to the changing requirements. So that will give flexibility to the entire organization in terms of flexibility within the workforce. The workforce may not resist to any kind of change in future. So that is the flexibility aspect. And next one, you can see that behavioral outcomes means how does these outcomes will, what kind of behavioral aspect, what kind of behavior the employees will have if these strategies and practices are properly followed. First of all, effort, motivation, cooperation, involvement, and organizational citizenship. So employees will be motivated if they are satisfied on the job. It will increase their motivational level. They will be more motivated. They will put more effort towards the job. They will cooperate with other employees, with the entire organization. They will be involved in the various aspects of the organization. They will consider themselves as an important part of the organization. They will have a sense of belongingness. So these are the behavioral outcomes or behavior outcomes. When HR practices and HR strategies are properly implemented, it will lead to behavioral changes within the employees. These are the behavior outcomes. Then the performance. Performance in terms of high productivity, high quality, and innovation. Now, if these things come in work in a proper alignment, then the performance will be high in terms of productivity, in terms of quality, and people will be more dedicated, people will be more innovative, giving more and more ideas. But if certain HR strategies, certain HRM practices does not get the outcomes, if it is not created and implemented properly, it will lead to the opposite result, that is absenteeism, labor turnover, conflict, and consumer complaint or customer complaints. There will be more and more complaints regarding the product or the services which the company is providing to the customer. So if these things are followed in a proper way, implemented in a proper way, it will lead to a high performance outcome. But if it is not done in a proper way, it will lead to a low performance outcome, that is absenteeism, labor turnover, customer complaints, and conflict. It will lead to conflict also, conflict between the employees, conflict between management and employees. Now the last one, the financial outcome, profit and return on investment. So if an organization is innovative, focuses on quality, reduces its cost, these HRM practices are conducted and implemented effectively, if they have high commitment, quality, and flexibility as HRM outcome, if the behavior outcomes are cooperation, involvement, organizational citizenship, it will lead to high productivity, quality, innovation, and that will lead to financial outcome. It means it will actually help in increasing the profit, the return on investment. But if these things are not done properly, it will lead to the low performance outcome. The profit and ROI will become negative. It will lead to losses. The return on investment will be very low. So this is the guest model and how does it operate. Okay. In the next session, I am going to explain the other aspects of guest model. These are the 4 other aspects which I am going to discuss in the next session. And then I am going to explain the other models, that is a Warwick model. This is the new model which I am going to explain. And at the same time, I am going to also explain the limitations. So what are the various things because of which even guest model was criticized. So this is it for today. We will meet in the next session. Thank you.